Welcome to another video, guys. Today I'm gonna give you 5 good deck ideas for when the nerfs actually happen, on Thursday, 26th. We're gonna go over the decks, give you some tips for them, mulligans, as well as their win rates, and we'll also talk about all of the other classes and what decks might rise in power after the nerfs. So if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is going to be Pure Paladin, and this is going to be the more board-centric deck, because as you saw, the nerfs are going to be targeting a lot of removal in the form of Yogs, as well as Prison Breakers, so board-centric decks should be thriving once more. This deck never really stopped working because it's so versatile and it has a lot of Divine Shields, so it was decent even against board clears, but I have a feeling this is going to be the way to go for Pally after the patch launches. The deck is good old standard Pure Pally, which is very heavy on the minions. You have a lot of good 1-drops, Blood Matriarch Liaison for some rush, a little bit of buffs in the form of Hand of Adal, Boogie Down so we can fit out the deck and also pull the good 1-drops. We have the Dude package with Muster, Warhorse, and Buffett Biggin, and that works extremely well with Crusader Aura. Jukebox Totem gives you extra dudes, and it's a very sticky minion. It also has multiple tribes, so it's even better for your Purator. And also Purator pulls out your Light Rays, your Leviathan, the Dragon, and like I said, the Jukebox Totems, as well as Sinful Sous Chefs. We obviously have Countess in here, which can clutch you some unwinnable otherwise games, like if you're against the control and if you already lost the board and you don't have too many cards. This would be the perfect top deck for you to actually whip out some kind of crazy combo with 3 great legendaries, and you could even make more legendaries if you get some lucky cards. And we also have the Titan, which is extremely powerful because not only does it give you a +2/+2 buff, but it also makes it extremely hard for the opponents to deal with your board because of the passive. You can also use it to draw a couple of minions from your deck and reduce them to 2/2s for 2 mana, and if you actually pull Countess like that, that would be a turn 8 Countess plus 3 of the invitations in a single turn, and that can definitely win you the game. Match-wise, here's what the stats show, but this is obviously before the patch, but it still gives you a good idea of what you should be okay and bad against. But Rainbow Mage seems to be not a great one, which I do believe is going to be rising in power once more. And also Enrage War was pretty bad for you, and I'm really not sure if that's gonna pick up or not. It probably will, because Druid definitely was a horrible matchup for it, but yeah, I guess time will tell. Thaddeus Warlock also not so great. Mulligan-wise, here's what the stats show, and you obviously want to be curving out. Going first and second buff and Biggin is always going to be great. Your best 1-drops would be Sinful Sous Chef and Sanguine Soldier. Muster for Battle is always great. Jukebox Totem definitely not bad. And if you already have a good curve going, you might even consider the Crusader Aura because it's such a huge card. Righteous Protector is also not bad, but if you already have other good 1-drops, you probably don't want to be keeping this. Boogie Down's pretty nice. And if you have a sticky minion like Sanguine or Righteous, even a Hand of Adal might make the cut. The rest though, probably not so much. On the coin, however, again, like I said, Buffett Biggin always great. Muster for Battle becomes a lot more keepable because you could coin it out on turn 2, and you could even follow up on turn 3 with a Warhorse, and that becomes extremely powerful very fast. Jukebox Totem is not bad. You can also keep Blood Matriarch Liaison because you could combo on turn 2 with the coin and a 1-drop to actually deal with something. Or you could just save it for a little bit later, like let's say if it's turn 4, you get to play her and coin out Muster for Battle, and suddenly you have 3 1/1 rush dudes with Divine Shields, and that can be pretty cool. And not to mention with Crusader Aura already in motion, it's even more strong because those suddenly become 3/2s, and that's just huge. Your 1-drops are still great, and if you have Muster for Battle, Warhorse Trainer might also make the cut. Or you could even just coin out Jukebox on turn 1 and still Warhorse on turn 3. That can be nice because on turn 2 you can just hero power, and still on turn 3 you're gonna have 3 dudes if the opponent does deal with them. And Hand of Adal is a lot less keepable here because even if your minions are sticky, your opponent's probably already on the board and they can probably deal with those minions. Class Action Lawyer could be keepable in certain matchups, but don't overkeep it. For other good Pally decks right now, we obviously have the pure buff Pally, just the buff Pally. There's also variants with Grim Street Outfitter. There's a pure buff Pally list with the weapon and whatnot. There's other, even non-pure buff Paladins out there as well, which are looking pretty good. So yeah, you definitely have plenty of options for Pally right now, albeit they're all aggro. On the number 2 spot we have Undead Priest, which has been a great deck right now, but Druids definitely weren't a fun matchup for it, so with those less, this should be a lot better. And also, let's not forget Prison Breaker was actually super effective against them because a lot of the minions have 3 health or less. This is the good old standard list, like really no need to talk about it too much. It's pure and simple. You just try to curve out in the early turns, like you want to be dealing chip damage with your minions in the first 4 turns, and after that you could even just switch out the damage from hand. Like, you have a lot of tools to do that, including your Mind Seer, Shadow Spirit's Death Rattle, Soul Burner Varia can help you, Rotting Necromancer, and also the Shadow Word on Death. So yeah, in the first 4 turns you're usually trying to tempo out, so try not to be doing silly things like grave digging, cause you'd much rather be very heavy on the board before you resort to card draw. Obviously it's not gonna be horrible if you don't have anything other to do, but you gotta know your priorities. Matchup wise, here's what the stats show for it, and as you see, druids are not that amazing for you, so with those out of the way it should be even better. Silverhand Pally is also a little bit on the negative. Mech Rogue was really strong against you, and I don't think that's gonna decrease in popularity after the nerfs, so there's that, but everything else looks pretty nice, so climbing shouldn't be an issue. As for the mulligans, here's what it looks like going first. Shadow Ascent is extremely great, especially if you already have a good 1-drop like, let's say, Foul Leg, Arms Dealer. Heck, even a Psych Conjurer can help if nothing else is in your starting hand, but Banshee is also nice, even though against something like a Demon Hunter, probably not so much. Undying Ally, it's a little bit tricky keeping it here, because you're gonna have a lot less cards here and a lot less mana to work with, so best you could be hoping for is a turn 2 double 1-drop like this, and you're probably gonna even have to skip turn 1 in order for that to happen, so I'm not a huge fan about it here, but it can still work out in certain cases. Mind Eater also not horrible, but only keep it if you already have a good 1-drop. And Soul Burner Varia, like if your hand allows it, you might also consider it. As for 1 on the coin, the situation is similar, even though here Undying Allies is extremely strong, and this way you could do a turn 1 double 1-drop, or turn 2 triple 1-drop, or 1-drop plus 2-drop with a Reborn, and that can be extremely powerful. Location is also pretty nice here, Shadow's still great, and even Cultist might make the cut here, but you kinda wanna hold the coin for it so you can do it as soon as turn 4. With other good priest decks, we have plenty of variants of Shadow Priest, but also Control Priest is still gonna be decent, I'm assuming. They didn't really utilize any of the nerfed cards, so it should be rising in power on those terms alone, even though I'm not sure if the meta is gonna be allowing it as much, but I think it will. Like, whenever there's a board-centric meta, Control Priest is there to ruin the day for everybody, so definitely expecting Control Priest to also be on the rise. But I think that's about it for Priest right now. On the number 3 spot, we have Hunter, and honestly, probably all Hunters are gonna remain pretty powerful, but this is a list that's not running any of the nerfed cards, so naturally, it's gonna remain strong, if not stronger, after the patch happens. Is the good old secret variant of Hunter, with the Star-Strung Bow, which got nerfed recently, but it's still super powerful, and it has the secret package with Cat Trick and Hidden Meaning. Even though if Control Warrior rises in popularity, you might want to switch Cat Trick back to a Wandering Monster or something. We also have Astalor in this one, Titan obviously, and a couple of star powers to deal with stuff. But yeah, really no need to talk too much about the deck. I do believe it's gonna remain pretty strong, if not stronger after the patch, so it's gonna be a great option. Matchup wise, here's what the stats showed, and Druid was actually an okay matchup, even though against the skill Druid, it's definitely not this green. Silverhand Pally not amazing, Totem Shaman as well, same with Enraged Warrior and Thaddeus Warlock, but the rest looks decent. As for the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. Costume Singer is always going to be great because it's a guaranteed card draw, and the opponent is going to want to deal with it, so they might do something silly like coin Hero Power or something. Awakened Tremor is definitely not bad. The Titan, kind of tricky, like you have to have already a pretty good curve in order to keep a 6 draw, because if you're skipping a couple of turns before turn 6, the Titan probably won't save you, but obviously he's very strong. Silvermoon Froststrider, I think I'd only keep it if I already have something good like Eversunk Portal in the hand, because that's the real reason why you want the Silver Hand early. Calderon definitely makes a lot of sense, Trinket Tracker is great, and also Titan Forged. And yeah, if you have the Silver Moon, you might consider the Eversong as well. This list is actually kind of weird because it's not running Celestial Shot, so maybe something needs to get changed in this one in order for it to be still good in the meta, like maybe -1 star power, maybe minus Astal or something along those lines, because Celestials definitely make a lot of sense. Maybe this is just a bit of an outdated list, because some changes did happen once Celestial Shot entered the scene, so yeah, definitely feel like a Celestial Shot might be in order for this one. But when on the coin, the situation is pretty close. Again, Kraken Bane is really not something I'd normally keep. Like, yeah, we have the coin, but still, you're not really using Krakenbane usually for fighting for the board in the early turns. You'd rather just use it as a finisher in most cases, but it can definitely also fight for the board, so there's some merit to it, but I definitely wouldn't really consider keeping it in the mulligan. Your 1-drops are still great, Titan Forged, Calderon, and if you already don't have a costumed singer, you might even consider the Hidden Meaning. Eversong Portal still could be pretty amazing here, and I would also keep Silvermoon if I have Eversong, so there's that. Plenty other hunter lists out there still. I do believe the board-centric hunter list is still gonna survive this. They're just gonna have to remove Yogg, maybe include location instead. They're also gonna have to probably remove Prison Breaker, even though it's still somewhat an okay minion, like 2 damage to the face while dealing with some boards. Only at 2 damage though, it's not really gonna be killing much, so it's kinda iffy. You might just include another star power, this one already has one. So yeah, maybe you're cutting 2 Prison Breakers and a Yogg for a star power, for 2 star powers, a location, and what else is missing here? 1 extra Vicious Litter Spear, I guess. There's also other variants of Secret Hunter, like this one for instance is actually pretty popular. It's running Yogg, but you're just gonna switch that for the location, I guess, or an extra collateral damage. And also the Prison Breakers, again, you probably want star power again, so there's that. Count Hunter is still somewhat playable. I really don't believe these stats are as good, like the sample size is pretty small as well, but it's still usable, but that's about it for Hunter, I think. On number 4 spot we have Control Warrior, and yeah, I do believe Control Warrior should be back on the menu, because Druids were definitely pretty annoying for it, and with that out of the way, Control Warrior should be reigning once more, and also since the meta is gonna be a lot more board-centric, I'm assuming, control decks like Control Warrior should be thriving again. There is a Yogg in this one, but we're obviously removing it. You could slap in, let's say, an extra Brawl, or maybe the 7-mana Legendary that eats armor, because basically Yogg was used as a removal here, even though it could have been used for some random Tendril action if all else fails, so you could even slap in the 7-mana location, I guess, because you kind of want a low amount of minions in this one, so you can actually reliably Chorus Riff into your Odin, because the deck runs like this particular variant, 6 minions? So the less the better for you, so that you can actually be very effective with the Odin on time. But yeah, the deck is good old Control Warrior, it's running all the good stuff. A lot of removal, a lot of card draw, and a lot of armor gain, so yeah, should be doing pretty good. Matchup-wise, here's what the stats show right now, and yeah, Druid wasn't very fun. Secret Hunter, I think it's actually a lot more positive for the Warrior here, but I guess the stats are a little bit messy. Control Priest definitely not gonna be fun, but that's about it, like everything else seems very doable. This one doesn't have too much stats in it, but you probably get the gist of what you should be strong and not so strong against. Mulligan-wise, we're gonna go with the kept stats actually, and yeah, From the Depths definitely great when going first. Bellowing Flames also helps you, Chorus Riff is nice. Stone Skin Armor is actually not a super high win rate card, so it's a little bit iffy keeping it, but I'm not against it. The weapon definitely is pretty nice. Odin, it's probably not something you want to be keeping straight up, like you'd much rather try and dredge it out from the depths. And also, depending on the matchup, you might have to be playing around Dirty Rats, Teotars, and all that kind of stuff, so it's risky holding on to Odin like that. Verse Rift definitely great, the Bash can help, Shield Block is extra cycle, and Blade Storm can also make a lot of sense. If you already have From the Depths, you might even consider Finley, because that can be huge, and also Bridge Riff is something you shouldn't really scoff at. And when on the coin, it's not much different, honestly, it's literally the same thing, but here even Sanitize makes the cut, so keep that in mind. With other warrior decks, we still have Enrage Warrior doing pretty fine, but that's about it. You either go Enrage or Control right now. And on the last spot we have Rainbow Mage, which should be back on the menu as well. I mean, it never really left, but it was definitely lacking against Druids, so that was pretty annoying. This one is running Yogg, but you're probably gonna cut it out for an extra elemental inspiration instead. And I'm not sure why we're no longer running Solid Alibis. I think that's gonna be coming back, because Solid Alibi is gonna definitely help you with the board-centric matchups. And I would consider cutting, let's say, Void Scriptures, maybe the Titan, something along those lines, so we can actually fit in some Solid Alibis. This one's also running a single copy of Volume Up. That's a little bit on the iffy side if you ask me. So you might want to be looking for extra card to remove for that as well, like maybe one less elemental, like the one we said we'd add for Yogg. Maybe you just add volume up as well. But yeah, the deck is pretty standard again. You've seen it plenty of times. You know what the gist of it is. You basically somewhat control the board in the early turns, try not to fall behind too much with the tempo, and around turn 8, 9, 10, Sif should be able to OTK with the help of discount through Lady Najjar, and you literally just need a couple of spells after that, like Flame Geyser or an Arcane Bolt, and with the help of Sif that should be tons of damage, and you could even copy a extra Sif with the help of your Reverberation. That becomes even more powerful like that, but yeah, all around that's it for this one. Matchup wise, here's what the stats show, and as I said, Ram Druid was a pretty sad matchup, and Hunter is a 50-50, but the rest looks fine. Mulligan wise, here's what people are keeping, and Prismatic Elemental definitely is great, Arcane Worm, the weapon, Cold Case is awesome, Discover of Magic not bad, Infinitize the Maxitude, it's not a horrible thing to be doing, but your hand actually fills up quite fast with this deck a lot of the times, especially if you're running 2 volume ups, so kinda comes down to the matchup honestly, but this one can be very versatile, like if you're against the aggro matchup you could find some sick removal like this, if you're against control you might get extra value, so I can definitely get behind the Maxitude as well. Flame Geyser can help you, it's a fire spell so you're gonna get those ticks going. Arcane Artificer on tempo can also be pretty big, and the opponent will need to deal with it before it starts slapping face, so there's that. But the rest probably not so much keepable. And when on the coin, it's kind of the same thing again, volume up a lot better here I'd say. And also Inquisitive Creation could also be a keep, but I'd say that's about it. For other good mage decks, there's all sorts of iterations of Rainbow Mage, they're all utilizing Yogg, but I really think it's not gonna hurt the deck all that much. Like, Yogg was cool and all, but it's not what makes the deck tick, so there's that. There's also a Control Mage out there, which is looking weird, but very small sample size, so let's not think about it too much. For the classes we haven't mentioned, with Death Knight, Unholy DK should be great, and same goes for Plague DK, even though Ram Druid was definitely a great matchup for it, so there's that. But we're not running any of the nerfed cards in Plague DK, so at least it has that going for it, so it should be still fine, and same can be said for Blood DK. Like, without Druids going rampant, Blood DK might also be in a little bit of better position from here on out, but yeah, those are the 3 archetypes for DK right now. With Demon Hunter, Relic Demon Hunter might be a lot higher back on the win rate, because I think it was actually very horrible against Druids. This one's running Yogg, but we're no strangers to playing it without Yogg, like the second variant's actually not running it, so there's that. Aggro Demon Hunter, however, it's probably not gonna be amazing, like 2 other cards are getting nerfed here, and it also was thriving on the Druids, so shouldn't be as good. Big Demon Hunter might actually come back somewhat strong again, but I'm kind of skeptical. And Outcast Demon Hunter, I think it's a skill issue, but the stats are not very good for it, so I'm not sure if that's coming back just yet. With Druids, Drum Druid honestly should be remaining fine, even though it's getting hit with Embrace of Nature. That's pretty much the only card they were running, so the main problem for Drum Druid right now was all of the Ramp Druids, because they were destroying their board easily with the help of super early Yogg, with Fizzle and all of that crap, so Drum Druid could be thriving once more, but I do believe they're gonna have to be running Top Yor in here as well, so there's that. Trent Druid is also supposed to be decent again, because it's a board-centric deck, and a lot of the decks that used to run Prison Breaker are going to be running it no longer, so board-centric decks like this should be fine again, and even Moonbeam Druid might be somewhat okay again. It is running Rake and Yogg though, so maybe it's not going to be as good. With Rogues, Mech Rogue should be on the top again, because Secret Rogue is definitely taking a fat hit here with both Prison Breaker and Yogg getting screwed. For Shaman, Totem Shaman should be remaining decent, especially with all of the Prison Breakers out of a lot of the meta decks out there. The other archetypes for Shaman I don't think are going to be doing too well. Control Warlock should be back on the menu again, because it was definitely sucky against Ram Druid, and Thaddeus Warlock has actually been doing quite fine as well, so those 2 should be at the top of the Warlock list right now. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing once the patch launches on 26th of October. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.